Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Apotheon. Yes, I know it's been out for a while, it's been sitting in my queue of games to play, and since it's summertime, I figured why not play it now? I mean, if you've been watching my channel long enough, then you're aware summertime, I tend to go back and play some games that I maybe didn't get a chance to play when they were released, or just other games that I was curious about. Okay, so to start out, you play as a young Greek man known as Nicandros. Well, actually, he might not be young. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. Point being, the land of Greece is going to shit. You start out in your own village, which is being raided by a group of I don't know what pirates kind of guys. But point being, this kind of stuff is becoming more and more common because Zeus has cut off Olympus from Earth, essentially. But it's not just Zeus, there are certain gods who are fine with it, and they're just kind of being, you know, Greek gods, in other words, dicks. This game does do a pretty cool job with, like, its Greek god interactions, etc., and how they portray the Greek gods, so I liked that. That being said, though, the story isn't wonderful. It's nothing amazing, it is kind of generic. There are better games based around the Greek pantheon, and by games I mean I think we all know which game and series of games that I am referring to. As for the audio in this game is good enough. It's nothing amazing. The voiceover work is fairly well done at times. At no point in time did the voiceover work really blow me away though. The music and sound effects, they're good. I do like the music. It feels very ancient Greece, I guess would be the way I would phrase it. I like that, but it's not amazing. It doesn't really stand out. The sound effects, they all work very well for what's going on in the game, but again, it's nothing amazing. It's there, it works well. As for the gameplay, this is a Metroidvania style game, which I always enjoy those, and this one does a pretty good job with it. The map is pretty expansive, and you do obviously gain things as you go through and can explore further, but really it's not as in-depth as other ones where like you really need these special abilities that you're gaining because you're not really gaining special abilities. It's more like you go, you find lockpicks, you can open certain doors, maybe you'll find a key, and then you'll be able to unlock another door. It's stuff like that, but it's not as in-depth as most Metroidvania games. Also, the combat itself in this game is fairly boring, and that's not great. I didn't have any major complaints with the combat, but I was never really enthralled with it either. I never ran into any enemies that I couldn't kill with a ranged weapon or a melee weapon equally. I never ran into anything where I needed something really special to kill it, or at least nothing jumps out at me. I tended to just run around with a melee weapon and beat everything to death. Also, the boss fights don't really stand out. I guess the one with Artemis was pretty cool, but most of them, nah. As for the controls actually work pretty well. There's one real complaint I have with them, but as for like button responsiveness, the movement, all of that I felt worked well. Getting on ladders was a little bit of a struggle at times. Some of the jumping didn't work as well as I would have loved, but that boiled down to the aiming system being kind of shit. Aiming at things did not work super well in the game. Even when you would do it manually, it didn't work wonderfully. It was kind of jerky, but more so it kind of auto aims on its own if you're not messing around with the right stick, which can be nice, but it can also lead to you completely swinging in the wrong direction of your enemy, not breaking open things that you're trying to break open so that you can get items, struggles with jumping onto ladders and ledges, etc. None of those were so horrible though that I felt that they ruined anything, but that being said, the controls weren't also the most amazing, so it's kind of not garbage, but it's just kind of there. Then lastly, the art style. This is the one thing in this game that really drew me in and I really liked. Like, it's the thing that I saw and was like, I'm gonna try this game. This looks interesting. It looks like the old Greek pots and pottery. Like, that's what this art style is. And that's just really cool and unique, and I mean, obviously details aren't as important in that style. I just thought it was a really interesting hook. So I really enjoyed that. I liked it a lot. I thought that was a really cool way of doing things. But the wrap up on this game is pretty simple. I think you can tell where it's going. This game has way too much meh and just feels overall unneeded. While the art style is amazing, in a game like this, a Metroidvania style game, if the combat isn't there, the combat isn't enthralling, you don't feel challenged by it, then what's the point? Which, don't get me wrong, that is a huge bummer. I really did like the art style, and I like the idea of the story, but the story itself feels very meh as well. So I gotta say, sadly, skip this game. I know it's actually a fairly old game, and if you haven't played it by now, you're probably not going to, but feel free to skip it all the same. I mean, if you see it on sale, don't waste your time or money, in my opinion. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you tell me if there's ever been a game where the art style just fully, got you to buy the game. And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.